Haruto was a lonely, disgusting, isolated loser who lost hope in his life after living it aimlessly for years. But when he realized how depressing his life was, a light shined from his phone, teleporting him into the heavenly dimension. The Archangel congratulated him on reincarnating and gifted him with overpowered skills that'll help him live his second life to the fullest. However, the only thing he wanted to do was watch anime for the rest of his life, so he begged her to reincarnate him. And after letting those words out, he was reborn as a baby in another world. The maid was glad that the boy was delivered peacefully, and his father saw the royal insignia that confirmed he was their child. He knew that his son was going to be powerful, and mommy milkers told him that of course she'd birth a powerful child. To see just how powerful he truly was, the Count brought the infinity orb to measure his power, and the entire room was filled with a magical aura around them. Seeing this powerful reaction created only by demon lords, his father thought he would be at least level 50. But the orb showed him at level 2, and their child didn't even possess an element, so he could only use barrier magic. The king wondered how the he could birth such a useless child without any power, and realized that Mommy Milkers was probably sleeping with Tyrone. Haruto realized he was about to be screwed, and his parents decided to tell everyone that he died during childbirth. This was even worse than his previous life, and the king commanded his army to throw the child away somewhere deep in the forest. Meanwhile, the angel realized that she accidentally made him way too overpowered, to the point where no one can measure his true power. In their world, their devices can only measure levels under 100, but she had set his power all the way to 1002, and forgot to give him an element. Deep inside the forest at night, Haruto tried to use his barrier magic to try and get himself out of this situation. As he tried to cast a spell, he imagined a cube that began forming in front of him, and realized that magic was easier than he thought. With his imagination, he could manipulate its shape and form, giving him limitless objects he could create. He realized that he could cast the spell on himself, and it allowed him to begin flying in the air without consuming any mana. However, he realized he would be in trouble if an animal appeared, and a giant fox appeared from behind. Immediately, it tried biting down at him, but Haruto blocked himself and began casting hundreds of small cubes to defeat the beast. None of them did any damage, so he tried using something bigger and pulled up 7 trees from the ground, throwing them towards the fox. However, it was still able to stand after all his strikes, so the little f***er decided to drag an entire f***ing hill towards the fox. But she began speaking and begged him to stop. However, he decided to just ignore the sounds he was hearing, but when it screamed louder that it would surrender, Haruto realized that she was the one speaking. After she had calmed down, she revealed that she was just trying to replenish her mana, and wondered how he was this powerful as a baby. Haruto struggled to speak, so he decided to create a barrier that would translate his thoughts into sound, and put it in his throat so he could speak normally now. She asked him who he was, but because he hated his real name Reinhart, he decided to introduce himself as Haruto, and explained how he was abandoned because of his low level. However, none of this made sense to the fox, because she felt a level of mana that exceeded human limits, and wondered if he was the demon lord reincarnate. Haruto decided to hide the fact that he was an ugly, lonely loser in his previous life, and claimed that he was the demon lord. It all made sense to the fox now, so she begged him to kill her already. But Haruto didn't want to harm her, so he asked her to just stay beside him on his adventures. She swore as a flame Fenrir that she would protect him throughout his adventures, so he told her goodbye, calling her Flay. As he flew away, Flay tried calling him back, thanking him for giving her a name and saving her life. She told him that their pact has now formed, and she promised to devote her life onto him. He tried explaining that he didn't want to form a contract with her, but she blushed because she loved her new name. As he continued trying to speak, Haruto fell onto the ground, and he begged to drink on some mommy milkers because he hasn't had any food since he woke up. Flay tried to do something about his hunger, and transformed into the hottest fox girl alive. Haruto realized this was about to be an amazing new life, but he wanted to keep this video monetized for a Catwoman outfit, and realized that she's looking even hotter than before. He was ready to get some milk, but Flay would need a different kind of milk before she could produce her own milk. And Haruto realized 2 things were going to be long. One of them was his new life dealing with her dumb ass. She apologized for being useless, but heard a man walking in the distance. Immediately, Haruto activated his barrier magic so they could telepathically communicate with one another. And when the man got closer, he revealed that he was here for the baby. She refused to give him up, explaining that he was her master, and belonged only to her. The man said that the child belonged to one of his relatives, so he's come back to save him. Flay wondered why he would come back for a person they abandoned, but he told her that he's come here to bring him some milk from the finest milkers in the kingdom, and Haruto told Flay to take it. However, Flay thought this was an attack on her milkers because she couldn't produce milk, but Haruto begged her to take it already because he's starving. The man told her that he doesn't care about her milk-producing abilities, he just wants to feed the child. Flay wondered why he cared about a child that's not his own, so the man revealed that his wife was pregnant once, but their child never saw the light of day. He doesn't care if Reinhart was abandoned for his lack of potential, because he believes that every child should have a chance to live. Flay began crying after hearing his tragic tale, and the man thought she was the weirdest demon he's met. He decided to make a deal with her, and told her that he can take her as his personal maid if he could take care of the child. Flay hesitated, but agreed as long as she was able to continue watching over Haruto, so the man was glad they were able to come to a deal. A few minutes later, he destroyed Haruto's bed, and told her to change his clothes and leave them behind. After she was done, he dropped some grape juice to make it appear as if he was eaten, and they walked away. Haruto begged Flay to get the milk, but she told him that she wouldn't let him have anyone else's milk. 9 years passed, and Haruto had grown up under Margrave Gold. His original plan was to leave as soon as he didn't need milkers, but they were so kind to him, so he decided to continue living with them. However, his sister hated him, and he was sad because he wished there was Siscon development to be nicer to each other already, because they need otakus to keep watching this show, as she gave food to the entire family. Haruto's sister had warmed up to Flay, and he wondered why he wasn't as lucky. Charlotte begged Flay to play with her, but when she said that she didn't have time, Haruto commanded her to drop everything and play with her, so Flay instantly agreed. They spent the entire afternoon running after one another, and his mother came and apologized that Charlotte is still shy around him, but she believes that she will warm up to him after growing up a little. However, Haruto realized that she was probably staying away from him because she realized he was 30, and was crushed that his sister wouldn't ever love him. His mom told him that he could just create something special for Charlotte, but if he really wanted to have her be happy, he should stop staying locked up inside his room and touch grass instead of being an ugly, lonely, disgusting loser that even his sister doesn't love. Told to touch the grass in 2 lives. As he laid in his bed, Haruto wanted to run away from his mean mommy milkers, but he didn't want Flay leaving Char alone. He asked his clone what he thought of this, because after 9 years of studying magic to create this robot copy, it was finally ready, but couldn't even make a single movement. His dad knocked on the door and told him to come outside already. In the field, his dad told him that he was going to start teaching him the sword to compensate for his low mana. He asked him if he wanted to do something else instead, and Haruto was about to say shutting himself in, but decided to say that he wanted to study mythical magic instead. His father was glad that he found something like that to interest him, but he wasn't going to let him get away, and threw his sword at him. As they got into their stances, Haruto knew that his father was one of the greatest warriors of their country, so the only way he could fight was by boosting his physical ability using barrier magic. With a single leap, he jumped above his father and crushed the entire earth beneath him. His father told him that he was going to test his reflexes and threw his fastest strike, but Haruto leaped 25 meters into the sky and was glad that he managed to avoid his swing. His father revealed that it would have been impossible for someone under level 30 to dodge, and Haruto also felt like there was something off about his abilities. But even a 3-digit orb said he was level 2, and since the highest in all of humanity was 77, he gave up on ever being strong. Because of his lack of power, he focused on learning everything about barrier magic. His father decided that they should continue his training, and his sister was watching them the entire time. Nights began passing by, and Haruto's mom realized that he's been working a lot lately. His father revealed that Haruto might be a returned demon, because while they're rare, they have appeared in royal families before. Still, they didn't see anything that resembled a demon in him, so it might be due to his royal